Why is Geralt often referred to as a Butcher of Blaviken? Why such an infamous and voiceful name? How brutal was the encounter in Blaviken in the books? You'll find out just in a moment. Geralt slowly enters the town of Blaviken on his horse named Roach, having a Kikimora's head tied to his saddle. After the initial awe of all of the inhabitants of the town, he meets with Alderman Caldemain to get a reward for his Kikimora trophy, which he killed nearby the town. Alderman explains to him that he cannot give him any reward and invites him instead to the dinner and tells him there is a wizard in the town which could appreciate his presence. Geralt and the Alderman visit the tower where the wizard resides. They do not want Geralt to enter, but after he says the name, they allow it. He meets the wizard, which by all accounts in the story usually are not exactly friends of witchers, and Geralt recognizes him as Stregobor. Last time he saw him was in Kovir, where he had also resided in the tower. Geralt asks him why he changed the name, and the aldermen and locals call him Master Irian. Wizard goes on to try carefully tell a story to Geralt, because he was apparently involved in a lot of a political game in certain kingdoms. He claims that there is something called Curse of the Black Sun, where certain girls are born mutated and took an autopsy by many wizards to figure out what they are made of, literally. He can't persuade Geralt though, who thinks that such wizards are murdering madmen. Stregobor goes on to explain how one of those girls, Renfri of Craden, the wife of Fredefolk, the Prince of Craden, was often turning into the magical Nehalian mirror. She apparently had seen the death of her children and hers by the daughter of the prince from the first marriage. She decided to send the stepdaughter into woods with a hired thug to kill her, since she preferred the succession of her own children on the throne of Craden. The stepdaughter escaped the thug, killed him, and for 4 years she was living in Mahakam. She became a criminal, a renowned one, called Shrike. At that time Stregobor had already left Craden. He later discovered that Prince's wife was poisoned, later also Prince and all of his children. Stregobor was also hunted by Shrike and almost assassinated in Kovir. He then ran from kingdom to kingdom to try to escape her and her company of thugs. So that is why he's hidden in Blaviken, he tells Geralt, but he already knows that she's in the town with her company. He asks Geralt to kill Shrike. He asks him to accept the lesser evil, as did the wizards back then when they found out about the curse of the Black Sun. Evil is evil, said the Witcher seriously, as he got up. Lesser, greater, middling, it's all the same. Proportions are negotiated, boundaries blurred. I'm not a pious hermit, I haven't done only good in my life, but if I'm to choose between the one evil and another, then I prefer not to choose at all. Time for me to go, Geralt told him. In the next chapter, Geralt and Alderman are at the local inn. Geralt goes upstairs and doesn't find Shrike, only 6 men, typically looking as mercenaries. He demands to see Renfri, which is Shrike's real name. After many insults, Shrike appears and they talk. She explains to Geralt and Caldemain that she's under protection from a king, which Caldemain confirms. This is because she was previously in the court, which Stregobor says in a previous discussion. The same night, Geralt finds Renfri in his attic, who explains that Stregobor had previously tried to kill her for the superstition, and encourages Geralt to kill Stregobor instead, because he's evil. Geralt refuses and pleads with Renfri to forgive Stregobor to prove the superstition wrong, which he probably believes it is. Renfri refuses, but during the slightly philosophical and full of emotion talk, she says she will leave the town. Geralt, quite fond of her expressions and body language, puts the only candle out, and they spend the night together in the dark attic of his. The next day, the big market in Blaviken holds place. Alderman says to the Witcher that there is a rumor that one of the mercenaries in Renfri's group is a professional murderer and had something to do with the massacre at Tridem. Witcher suddenly realizes about the trap. What happened in Tridem is that they forced Baron of Tridem out of his tower, which they plan to do here with Stregobor by starting murdering people at the big market. Alderman doesn't allow any action though, because he knows that it is based on a rumor, and also Renfri is guarded by the king's will, so they cannot seize her or attack her first. Witcher doesn't listen and runs to the market. Geralt races to the marketplace and finds Renfri's mercenaries. They pass him a message from Renfri, who is at the tower already at that moment. She says he needs to choose between her and the lesser evil. Although mercenaries show no ill intent, Geralt attacks and kills them. Then Renfri arrives. "You have made your choice. Are you sure it's the right one?" she asks. "This will not be another Tridem," says Geralt. "It wouldn't have been. Stregobor laughed in my face. He said I could butcher Blaviken and he wouldn't leave his tower," she says. Geralt asks her to leave, but she refuses and draws the sword. Geralt kills her after a wild fight at the marketplace. After the fight, Stregobor approaches Geralt, intent on performing an autopsy on Renfri's body to prove that the curse had physically affected her. Geralt stops him. Stregobor leaves, and the townsfolk, believing Geralt had just murdered a group of innocent men, hurl rocks at him. Caldemine stops the villagers but demands Geralt leave Blaviken and never return. He stood there a moment later, avoiding Alderman's eyes. Then he turns away and walks. Geralt then becomes known as the Butcher of Blaviken. Thanks for watching. That's all for this time. Feel free to subscribe since I'll see you again in a few days with another story about Geralt the Witcher.